I'll do some scary movie.
Like scary movies?
Uh-huh.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Look at me, Damien. It's all for you. Kill her, Mommy. Kill her.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
This is my boomstick. Here's Johnny.
I have to return some videotapes.
We'll tear your soul apart.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of All Things Horror. My name is Ben and I'm joined here with Matt. If you're unfamiliar with the show, each week we choose a movie, we break it down, review it, and we give our honest opinions and rate it from 1 to 10. This week we're going to be talking about Friday the 13th Part 2 from 1981. But before we do, let's take a quick look at the trailer.
I don't want to scare anyone, but I'm going to give it to you straight about Jason.
Hey, you guys, look at this.
It's Camp Blood. This place is on the same lake as we're going to be.
You're all doomed.
He's still out there.
Jason.
Some sort of demented creature.
If I was you, I'd have located in the next county. Quiet for 5 years, and that's the way we want to keep it.
Legend has it that Jason saw his mother beheaded and he took his revenge. A revenge that he'll continue to seek if anyone ever enters his wilderness again.
Oh my god, oh my god.
So this is the second entry in the long-running horror series. It focuses on a group of teenage counsellors training under the guidance of head counsellor Paul Holt. Paul relates the story of Jason Voorhees, a boy who drowned at the camp and whose mother murdered a group of counsellors in revenge. No one takes the tale seriously until a very much alive Jason begins gruesomely killing people. It's directed by Steve Miner. Main cast is Amy Steele, John Furey, Adrienne King, Warrington Gillette, and Walt Gorney as Crazy Ralph. Runtime is an hour and a half, hour and 27 minutes, and it's available on Amazon Prime. So yeah, we were supposed to do this film last week, but as it was Friday the 13th last Friday, but I was too busy with my head in the toilet puking. So
nightmare.
Happy belated Friday the 13th.
Happy Saturday the 14th. Happy Tuesday the 17th.
Yeah. I mean, this is our second one in the franchise now. So I know we've spoken about this a few times on what our favourite horrors are. And in this franchise, I think yours is the fourth. Is that right? The final chapter?
Yeah, I have moved a little bit. We'll talk more about it, but the first and the second have gone up a little bit in my estimations recently. Maybe because of our rewatches.
Yeah.
But the fourth one remains my favourite. I think it combines the craziness of the later ones and the sort of the origins of the first ones. So I think it's got a nice balance there, and it's got Crispin Glover dancing.
Where would you kind of rank this one in like the whole franchise? I think there's 12.
After watching it now, I think it would have moved up. I think I actually got a lot out of watching this time. But in the past, I think I'd seen it as one of the most boring ones. And I did some reading, and I kind of it's a bit like The Exorcist, really, like kind of reassessing and looking at it from a different point of view. And this time, I really looked at it from Ginny's point of view.
Yeah.
And I thought Ginny's a really cool character. Maybe you don't get very much in slashers, or certainly in this series, like intelligence, and goes against the sort of the rules. Or like when we talked about Scream last time, like the rules and the tropes and things. Like Ginny makes me like this film a lot more. I think people remember is it Terry and the Mickey Mouse t-shirt, and like she's a bit of like a sex bomb kind of thing. But like Ginny as a character is really interesting. So yeah, I think this moves up now. 4's definitely the top. I have a lot of love for Jason X. Jason Goes to Hell. I can't get into, no matter how much people tell me it's great. I just can't get into it. Some of the, like, Manhattan's always disappointing. I always think it's going to be like running through New York, smashing stuff, going into bodegas, crashing into Times Square and stuff. But obviously can't do that because you can't shut these places down to do it. So like it's never as exciting as, like, they're on a boat, a lot of it, aren't they?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I haven't got like a definitive list, but these first and second, through watching them with you, has made me see them as much higher up. What about you? What does this one, or where does this one sit?
Yeah, I'm probably the same as you, really. I mean, I always really respected this one because this one is almost a standalone movie from this first. Obviously, it's the same, like, concept and everything, but, you know, you got Jason. You didn't have Jason in the first. Spoilers. But, if you haven't seen the first. But, yeah, I don't know. I really like the fourth one as well, also. I do like the third, but they went too much with the 3D.
Yeah.
If they didn't do that, that would have probably been one of my, maybe my top. I don't know.
I think there's an argument that the third one is kind of running out of steam, and they're going to have to think of something very different for the fourth, either to finish it or to restart it. So like I think a lot of people put 3 near the bottom of their list from what I've kind of picked up through. This weekend's been insane, hasn't it? From Friday, like people talking about Friday the 13th films and stuff. It's everywhere. You're getting everybody's lists and thoughts and ideas on it, and like 3 seems to come out quite like negatively, but then I guess if you're doing a list, something has to be near the end. You can't have them all near the top.
Yeah, true. I mean, I think
I can't remember 3 very much, to be honest.
Yeah, I think everyone kind of puts either Manhattan or Jason Goes to Hell at the bottom. They're normally the 2 that get it the worst.
Yeah, it surprises me. People are really coming around Jason Goes to Hell and talk about it a lot and encourage people to watch it, and so you're getting this and you're getting that. For me, it didn't really feel very much like it felt a bit like a fan film. It didn't feel like a Friday the 13th film. And to be honest, fan films have really done incredible things the last 5, 6, 7 years. But some of those fan films are actually better than some of the films in the franchise. There's like there's loads. There's loads. I mean, there's The Victim No More. There's the Bloodlines, and there's so many Friday the 13th ones, and some of them are actually, I would say, better than Jason Goes to Hell. So I don't know. I'd agree with you on that one, though. I think that's one that people tend to seem a bit disappointed with, and like I say, I've heard a bit with 4. Maybe people don't mention the second one enough.
Yeah, well, I mean, Steve Moyner, he's directing this, and he only did this one and the third one. But I think both of these, 2 and 3, are very important because he kind of lays down a lot of groundwork for the rest of the franchise. Obviously, this one, he's the main antagonist. He is the villain. And the third one, he finds his mask. That's where he gets his iconic hockey mask. And I think it's machete as well.
Right. Yeah, because you create this character, like you said, especially when like Ginny's talking about him in the bar. She's setting all those things in place about him, and his relationship with his mother and all this sort of stuff, like that makes it more important to flesh out his character. Like she kind of has empathy for him and tries to understand him because I think she's like a psychology student or something, isn't she? So like she's kind of the writer and the director, they use her as a way of creating Jason's character because he can't speak for himself, and otherwise he's just some faceless, nameless shape, which works quite well in like Halloween, the first Halloween. But in this one, you're going to have to reintroduce Jason as a completely different character, how he's developed, how he's changed, what is he, because the villain in the first one's his mother. It's very different than Halloween in the sense of like he's not the main sort of villain straight away in the first one, which was a very successful film. So it's really tricky. There's a really good Collider article about Ginny and her understanding and empathy of Jason, and I think that's what makes him really interesting. You know, he's obsessed with his mother. Steve Miner's done a good job with that, and I think like he obviously must be respected because people have brought him back. He's done loads of other things, but like he did like Halloween H2O, and you know, it's not, you know, if it had just been seen as somebody who completely messed up this franchise, then they wouldn't put him into another franchise in one of their biggest films.
I was going to say, have you seen any of his other work? He did H2O. The only other ones I know is Lake Placid and House. I really like House. That's one of my favourites.
Yeah, House. I've seen the House films. I've not seen Lake Placid. I believe it's quite good. It's that sort of period of horror where I really sort of tuned out, where it didn't really feel very interesting. But I'm sure if I reassess it probably is. But no, Halloween H2O is not the worst in the series. It's a competent job, and again, it's kind of trying to put some sort of story into things where there wasn't much. So he's obviously got that kind of track record like he's done with this one. So yeah, it's I'm really interested for us to chat about this Friday the 13th Part 2 because maybe it does get missed a little bit, and the lead girl isn't like hypersexualized, or like she has a boyfriend, so she's not like, because she's intelligent, she's afraid of sex or afraid of men, or do you know what I mean? Like she's quite a realistic character. She's not like a stereotypical quote unquote like nerd. Like she has a boyfriend. She's working on child psychology, which is perfect for Jason. So like Amy Steele, is it? Ginny is a really good way of getting into this film. Maybe when I was a kid, I was just more interested in the lady in the Mickey Mouse tank top because she is stunning, like in the film, isn't she? So,
yeah. Plus, what's her? Is it? Yeah, Ginny's her name. I couldn't remember if it was Amy or Ginny. Amy's her real name. Ginny is her character. But Ginny. She's a great character, and she sticks to the rules. So that's why she survives.
There are certain rules that one must abide by in order to successfully survive a horror movie.
Yeah, she kind of does. I mean, I guess I don't know. We could talk about her boyfriend, but whether they're getting it on or whatever. But not in the actual film, but. Yeah.
Oh, actually, no, tell a lie, because they're at the bar, aren't they? So she's drinking. That's rule number 2.
Yeah. Yeah, I think she's actually a completely unique final girl in the sense of she's not like any of the other final girls, and she's not just she's not useless. Like as we see later on, she's not completely useless. She thinks well on her feet. She has plans. She understands psychology of what to do. Like actually, Ginny's kind of almost like as smart as like older Laurie Strode or Sydney. Like it's a shame really that Ginny didn't last the whole franchise in a way.
Yeah,
they could have done it with the first his name escapes me, with the first character, and they bring her back briefly and then just kill her off when she wakes up in the hospital bed, and then you know, and you just think, oh, that was a wasted opportunity. But then Ginny comes in, who's probably just as good, if not better.
Yeah, that's true, actually. Maybe I'll have to watch the third one again, because I'm not quite sure what happens to her character.
No,
I don't know.
As well.
Yeah, I'll have to watch the third one.
It's unusual that they stick around, isn't it? Like Tommy Jarvis sticks around, but he's not the same. He's a different character, really, isn't he?
Yeah.
Like he's the same name. He's like, what, 4 guys? Like a kid, a teenager, a 20-odd-year-old guy. Doesn't behave in the same way. Oh, just, yeah.
I was surprised about the critic ratings for this movie. It only got 29% on Rotten Tomatoes. I thought this was considered highly loved, but well, I guess the audience rating they give it 48. So
yeah, maybe it's just ignored rather than kind of loved or hated.
Yeah. I think that's pretty much all I've got for this. I mean, we got Harry Manfredini doing the score still. I think he pretty much does every Friday the 13th, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does some of the he helps out in some of the fan films, I believe, as well.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, I'm always interested in the actor who plays Jason, and they've credited Warrington Gillette as playing Jason, but, I mean, this might be a spoiler, but he only actually plays one scene, and that's where he comes through the window. That's we'll get to it then. But for the rest of the film, Jason was actually played by the stuntman Steve Dash, but he's not credited.
Right. Yeah, I find it hard to keep up with all that, like other than sort of Kane Hodder and Jason. But then it's the same with Michael Myers, isn't it? It's like, who is it again in this one? Yeah, just one thing about Steve Miner. He did, seeing as we talked about Kevin Williamson a lot last episode, Steve Miner did 4 episodes of Dawson's Creek as well.
All right.
So just a by the by kind of thing. And this one, the same writer, the only difference being there's no Sean Cunningham input into this second one, but the same writer of the first one, so able to carry on that story, probably having to rethink everything that they wrote for the first one because they probably didn't expect to have to do a second one. So yeah, I just thought I was interested. But yeah, you're right about who it is.
Yeah.
Some people really do think deeply about that, don't they?
Yeah.
Like who your favourite one is. I couldn't tell you. I have a friend, Mikey, and he listed everybody who played Jason and who was the best and which film and things like that. And it was really cool and really interesting. And I didn't recognise any of the names. I was like, what about the little kid who played Ari Lehman who played the kid in the first one? That's the only one I remembered.
Well, I think naturally people think of Kane Hodder, but he's only actually been in 3 films.
Yeah, because he's in Jason X, isn't he, as well?
Yeah. But yeah.
I like it.
I mean, that's all I've got, really. I mean, the budget was 1.25 mil, and the box office made 21.7 mil. So decent.
Yeah. And they use at least 5 minutes of the original film in this.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much it. Do you want to jump into the plot and go through it?
Yeah.
Cool. Right. I'll hit this spoilers.
Spoiler warning.
Right, so 2 months after the murders at Camp Crystal Lake, sole survivor Alice Hardy is recovering from her traumatic experience. In her apartment, when Alice opens the refrigerator to get some cat food, she finds a severed head of Pamela Voorhees and is murdered with an ice pick to her temple by an unknown intruder.
Oh, I hate it when that happens.
Oh, and then
get cat food and there's a head.
Yeah. And then you get the title credit come in. We spoke about that in the first one. You know, the zooming in shot of the 3D logo of Friday the 13th. I think the first one, it smashes through glass, doesn't it? But then this one explodes.
Yeah. They're setting themselves up there. It's going to be difficult to keep building on that, isn't it? I suppose in the 3D one, they've got that, but yeah, I know what you mean. It's Alice, of course. I couldn't remember her name earlier on, but yeah, Alice is Alice. Yeah. But I was like, I liked her as a character in the first one. I thought she was good.
Yeah, she was good.
And I believe it was very a contentious thing. They wanted more of her, and she wanted to do more, but both sides were kind of being played off by agents and different things. And I seem to remember, I think I said this in the first one, that she'd had stalker issues.
That's right.
Yeah, and that's the reason why things were a bit up in the air and a bit confused.
Yeah.
So I think now she wishes she'd done more in this, and it would have been cool. Her and Ginny teaming up would have definitely got rid of Jason.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
Once and for all.
Another sequel that plays pretty much the entire final scene of the original one. We mentioned that in, was it Halloween 2?
Yeah. It's not like Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2, if we ever watched that, where, like, I would say 50% of the film is the first film.
Really?
It's like, this is only an hour and 27 minutes, and I timed it at just over 5 minutes of the original film being used. So we're talking an hour and 20 film of new content.
What do you make of Jason just carrying around his mum's head, just leaving it in fridges?
So I don't know why I just put it in the fridge. It's just like, I'll just keep it there to keep it cool so it doesn't. But then later on, it's out in the open, so I don't know. He's not worried about it spoiling, you know. That's what I'm thinking of, keeping a plastic bag. It reminds me of, I don't know if you ever watched Arrested Development, where it's like where the magician Job, he has the dove in a bag, and he leaves it in the fridge, and it just says "dead dove, don't eat." And you're like, just like dead mum, don't eat.
Yeah, it doesn't show where she is or where she lives, but I'm assuming he's probably had to travel a while to try and get to her.
Just carrying his head under his arm.
Just carrying his mum's head. Come on, mum.
Such a carry you everywhere.
There's a bit of a trope now, but where you think there's an intruder in the house and the window's open and you get a few kind of fake outs and jump scares, but then this one, the jump scare is like the cat coming through the window, but that cat, there must have been someone out there just launched that cat through the window. You see it was like flying through.
But these things don't happen now.
No.
Oh my word. Yeah, it's pre-credits, telephone call. I believe she was just told to completely improvise that and didn't really have anything to say. She did a pretty good job considering that, like, it's a very much, like you say, it's a trope where something happened, then a pre-credit sequence that you don't see a lot. So yeah, that's pretty cool, man.
It did very much remind me of the opening of Scream.
Yeah.
With what's her face?
Yeah, with Drew Barrymore.
That's right, yeah. One thing I don't really get is this is supposed to be set right after the first one, 2 months later. Obviously at the end of that one we see Jason come out of the water and he's an 11-year-old child, but obviously in this opening scene that's not an 11-year-old child, is it?
Yeah, he's a big boy.
So
yeah, he's a big boy. He's grown up. Proud.
The rest of the film is set 5 years later, so that would make him 16. So a bit more believable. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know about this like timeline with Jason. Like we've said this before, how weird and wonderful it is. It's a bit like, you know, making kids grow up in TV series so that they go from literally like a baby, they go upstairs and they come down and they're like a teenager or something, depending on what we need story-wise.
Yeah.
I guess it's not meant to be taken as a documentary, but
yeah, true.
I'm disappointed that we get rid of Alice so soon in the film. Like, I get frustrated when you have a character that you root for and they're gone straight away. Scream obviously feel the same. People make Scream because they find it really hard to get rid of the characters that we like.
Yeah. I mean, they got some good kills in this way. Straight in off the bat, she gets a nice pick through the temple. I mean, that's pretty gnarly already.
It is. I wouldn't like that very much, I'll tell you what.
No,
thank you.
So yeah, 5 years later, Paul Holt opens a school for camp counselors on the shore of Crystal Lake. Around the campfire that night, Paul tells the counselors that the legend of Jason Voorhees, a boy who drowned at Camp Crystal Lake in 1957, sending his vengeful mother on 2 killing sprees, one in 58 and the other one in 79, until she was eventually killed by Alice Hardy, who we just saw in self-defense, cut her head clean off. According to legend, Jason survived and is now living in the woods near Crystal Lake, enraged at his mother's death, and will kill anyone he comes across. As Paul finishes the story, a man with a spear scares everyone, but it's revealed to be Ted wearing a mask.
Ted.
Paul reassures everyone that Jason is dead and the camp, Crystal Lake, is now condemned and off limits. Yeah. I tried looking online about how the reception was for Jason as the new killer. I suppose you know how this was received back in the day, did you?
No, I mean, no, I don't, to be honest. I think it's very hard, isn't it? Because sometimes we look at... most of the reviews that I've seen from the time are just like, it's trash. Just like they were with the first one, it's trash.
Oh, what, this one?
So, yeah, like, they just, like, most mainstream... Because if you think, it's not like there's, like, a horror website or a horror magazine or, you know, there isn't really these people covering it. I think even somebody like Joe Bob Briggs used to do, like, a review in a mainstream newspaper and try and sneak in some horror movies and kind of rate them honestly and talk about them, rather than kind of the mainstream critics just... it's rubbish. So it's very hard to get what the fans actually thought, because there's not a lot of record of it. There's no, like, Rotten Tomatoes. There's no... So I suppose my answer is I don't know. But what I would say is it's a bold choice to kind of... But you couldn't just have an old lady as the protagonist in your film after we've had Michael Myers. Is this before or after The Burning?
I think this one is the same year, actually. It's 80... Right. Or is it? Actually, The Burning might be 80. I think...
because if it is, it's just the thing where they're telling the story, you know, and it's like a joke.
Yeah, The Burning was 1980. So, yeah, this came out just after.
It's just that idea about, you know, the sort of playing a trick. I'm sure that's in The Burning, isn't it, where they're telling a story.
Yeah. And again, thinking about it, we talk about the reception of films when they come out, but I think over time I've appreciated films further down the line.
Yeah.
Like this, like we said about this one, I probably like this one now a lot more than when I did, I don't know, 15 years ago, whenever I first watched it.
Yeah. Even like The Thing, you know, got so badly received by critics that I think John Carpenter thought that nobody liked it. But I'd imagine the fans and the people watching it liked it, even if they didn't go out in the droves, because people did look at reviews and go, oh, it says here it's rubbish, so I won't go and watch it. But actually, as people rediscover it on video and DVD and Blu-ray and streaming, realise that a film can be really loved, and even the person who made it doesn't even know that, which is quite sad, really.
Yeah, no, interesting then. Just because it was quite a drastic change from the first one, being an old woman, all of a sudden now it's some...
Can you imagine if she just stayed like that all the way through?
Yeah.
And it was her.
So that night, we see Crazy Ralph. He wanders onto the property to warn the group, but an unseen killer from behind a tree strangles him to death using a piece of wire. I love Crazy Ralph. I think he's great. Although,
he's we miss him from the later sequels.
Yeah. I did make a note. I was like, I think Ralph should have been like a running feature throughout all the movies. Can you imagine Crazy Ralph in Jason X?
Yeah.
Ralph in space.
Like a CGI. What are those things called? Where it's like a hollow deck kind of thing.
Yeah. I did notice a slight filming error for Ralph's death. I'm not sure if you noticed this, but obviously Jason strangles him with a bit of wire, but from behind a tree. But he doesn't go round the tree. If you slow it down, you got Ralph's face in the shot, but somehow Jason goes down over the top of him. He goes over his head. So unless he's got really, really long arms that can go over the top of a tree and down it.
I like anything like that with tree related. It's like when people are like pulled up and hung in horror films. like the amount of strength that would take. People just seem to go "Reh, reh," and they're up. And it's like, you would absolutely have to put your back into it. I watched and it's a tough watch, a very tough watch. I don't know if you've ever seen I Spit on Your Grave.
I'm not sure if I've seen that. I know of it.
Oh, it's a very tough watch, but there's a part where she's hanging somebody, and she does it from a sitting position, which well, look at. I was like, wow, like I don't know. She's like quite a slight lady. She's not like Arnie or whatever. And it's just like, how is she doing this? But, yeah. So that's what popped into my head when I saw this as well. I was like, there's some logistics here that I suppose we just have to kill people.
Yeah. But, I mean, I suppose it's not revealed in this movie that he's kind of superhuman.
Yeah, he's not really supernatural, is it? So like the fourth one?
Yeah.
Fifth one? Fifth or sixth, maybe?
Yeah. Because I think they hang him in the fourth one, don't they? Is that the one with like the little barn bit outside and they hang him from the...
Yeah, he's still the same Jason from this film kind of thing. But certainly in that one, in that one, he's more of a supernatural being.
Yeah. So the following day, Jeff and Sandra sneak off to Camp Crystal Lake and find a dog carcass before getting caught by Deputy Winslow and returning to camp. Later, Winslow spots a man wearing a burlap sack mask running across the road. Winslow chases him into the woods and finds a shack. The man kills Winslow with a hammer claw. I mean, that's got to be a bad way to go. I don't know, something about hammers to the head, because they're not
dull in it.
Yeah, even the claw bit of it, very fuddy. I don't know, but yeah, Jason, he's wasting no time in killing all these people off. But that police deputy, he must be on a damn good salary because he's going above and beyond his duty on chasing Jason through the woods. He's like running for miles through that woods. He ditches his car and he's just running and running and running, even through like the swampy woods and the deep puddles.
Yeah.
I think I would have just rolled down the window and be like, hey.
Do you think you'd be, if you had to sort of run through a forest, do you think you'd be okay? Do you think you'd be able to dodge and weave and move freely, or would you be like me and just fall over?
I probably wouldn't even try. I'll get out of breath just looking at it. Ah, sod it.
Look for a weapon, maybe.
Yeah, just throw a log. So, back at the camp, Paul offers the others one last night on the town before the training begins. 6 of them stay behind, including Jeff and Sandra, who are forced to stay as a punishment for sneaking off. At the bar, Ginny muses that if Jason was still alive and had witnessed his mother's death, it may have left him with no distinction between life and death or right and wrong. Paul dismisses the idea, proclaiming that Jason is nothing but an urban legend. I quite like this scene. This scene with Ginny explaining how Jason would be.
Yeah, I do. I think it's really, really well done.
I think we might have spoke about that in our first Friday the 13th episode. The fact that Jason was only 11 when he drowned, so essentially he still would have like the mind of a child. He's had no real upbringing.
The fish, maybe. SpongeBob's taught him. No. Oh yeah, it's the bar scene gives you for me a really, really good understanding of Ginny as a intelligent, thoughtful character, which is quite unusual for a slasher film. And she's not like, oh, Ginny, like people are not like, oh, Ginny, you fucking idiot, like shut up, like she makes perfect sense with what she's saying. They do laugh at her, of course, because they're drunk and men and idiots, but like she makes a lot of sense, and she's the audience. She's explaining to the audience, telling them why Jason is the way he is.
Yeah. You kind of know it from the start that Ginny's going to be the final girl. But I think this scene is where it essentially, where she's sympathising with him and you're feeling sorry and secures the fact that she is going to survive. And you're like, oh, okay, that's our girl. Once you get that bar scene, you're like, all right, Ginny's the main girl. She's going to survive.
Yeah. Well, you hope so, definitely.
Yeah. Seems to be the most level-headed one out of the bunch. So Jason appears at the camp and kills the counsellors one by one. Scott has his throat slit with a machete whilst caught in a rope trap, and Terry is killed off-screen upon finding Scott's dead body. Mark has a machete slammed into his face and falls down a flight of stairs. Jason then moves upstairs and impales Jeff and Sandra with a spear as they have sex, and then stabs Vicky to death with a kitchen knife.
He's got busy.
Yeah.
He's been very busy.
Yeah,
busy boy. He
is a busy boy. Well, I think one of my... It's a bit weird saying your favourite death, but I like the guy in the wheelchair. Is that Scott? No, Scott's the one that's hanging. Mark, he's the guy in the wheelchair.
Yeah, Mark's a good character. They've got a good... Him and the girl have got a good chemistry, actually.
Yeah.
When they're playing games and stuff like that. Yeah, I liked it.
But he takes a machete to the face and he falls down those stairs in the wheelchair.
There's a fan theory that he doesn't die.
Really?
Yeah, they're like, you don't see him dead, I don't know, but he's just seriously injured.
Wow.
I don't know. Is that possible?
It seems like he was falling down those stairs for an awfully long time.
Yeah, it's like the hot rod falling down the side of the ravine. I always think they're dead funny. I think the longer it goes on, the funnier it gets.
It's like the Exorcist stairs.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like most sequels, they tend to amp everything up, and this one definitely amps up the kills. Yeah. But also the horniness. Everyone's horny in this film. Seems like everyone's having sex or wanting to have sex, and that's rule number one.
There are certain rules.
Yeah.
He'd be shouting at them. He'd be watching this and shouting. Yeah, and like Jeff and Sandra, the spear. That's a pretty cool thing. It's weird, like in films like when the sex and violence are so close to each other, how that has become so accepted. It's gone from being really, really shocking, and people go, "I can't believe this," to like, if it's not, someone's not having sex and dying immediately after, people are angry and disappointed. Whereas it used to be like, oh my word, like, this is terrible, I can't believe this. And now it's like, oh, they've had sex and nothing bad's happened to them, how disappointing.
One thing I found quite funny is when Vicky goes back to her cabin to get changed, and she's going through her clothes and she pulls out a pair of what she thinks are quite sexy knickers, but I guess in the 80s, by those standards, they probably were, but not so much now. I don't think they kind of hold up.
Like a big pair of bloomers.
Yeah, they were massive. She's like, oh yeah, this will definitely...
Bridget Jones.
Oh yes.
It's funny because, like I say, like, I think Ginny could be like played as completely sexless character, but she isn't, and like every character in this is quite like promiscuous and you know, permissive, but like she's the least.
Yeah.
But she's still like not. She's still interested in her boyfriend, kind of thing. And like, because of what she says about him Jason being a child in a man's body, I thought the most character development that Jason's ever had. He's got his shrine, he's got his child in a man's body stuff. He's got character development. None of it is down to anything he's done. It's all to do with talking about him and seeing either a set or a person. But like, I guess a child would be freaked out and scared by seeing people, you know, making love. So it makes sense that he would be wanting to just absolutely smash everybody. I don't know. In the old-fashioned meaning of the word smash.
So Ted stays behind at the bar whilst Ginny and Paul return to find the place in disarray. In the dark, the killer ambushes Paul and continues to chase Ginny through the camp and into the woods, where she comes across the shack.
Love shack.
After barricading herself inside, she finds an altar with Pamela Voorhees' severed head on it, surrounded by a pile of bodies. Realising that Jason Voorhees is the killer, Ginny puts on Pamela's sweater and tries to psychologically convince Jason that she is his mother. The ruse briefly works until Jason sees his mother's head at the altar and awakens from a trance. Very interesting scene, that one.
Yeah, I've ruined that by saying already about like the set design and kind of giving away things about him, like this shrine.
Well, it's on the back of the box, so. Oh yeah, that's true. There you go.
I was thinking again. I used to have a load of VHSs and I got rid of them, and I've just kept a few. I would quite like to have Friday the 13th. I'm not sure which one, but in a VHS. Yeah, it's she's smart. She's thinking on her feet. It's kind of like he's like almost like an animal, really, isn't he? He's like
yeah.
You know, like she's kind of talking to him and treating him like it's like she's training a puppy.
I mean, it's a risky move. I mean, she was thinking on her feet. I mean,
yeah.
Imagine if Jason had a little bit more sense about him. He just walks in and she's doing that, and he's just standing there like, "What the fuck you doing? Take my mum's sweater off. Put that down."
What are you doing?
Yeah. Before that, though, she's in a cabin and she hides under the bed, and a rat crawls up to her, and then you get a pan back view and you see, I think she like pisses herself because it all kind of flows out from under the bed. Do you reckon you'd do that in that situation? I know you don't like rats.
I would from the rat, yeah. I pee myself just from like seeing a rat. Never mind Jason. To be honest, I would freak out so much from the rat. I'd probably put on a burst of speed and he'd never see me again. I'd just be out the door, gone, and he'd be like, Jason would just be lumbering after me, and I'd be like, no, man, I'm not staying for this rat. So I'll just throw the rat at him or something.
So all Jason needs as a weapon is a rat, and that's it. You're gone.
Yeah.
You'll run faster from a rat than you will a knife.
Oh, man. There is a film called Rats that I've never seen, but it's amazing how many times people post about it, or I see it places, or see the front cover. I know vividly. I am never going to watch that film, but it just seems to follow me around.
Rats. Wow.
Yeah, it's just called Rats. It's
what,
like
a horror film.
Cover. Yeah, a horror film. I don't know anything about it other than I've seen the front cover like 1,000,000 times, and I don't know why.
Oh wow! I'm gonna try and fish that out. Next episode, yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to do that next week. Is it 1984 film? I don't know. Actually, it turns out there's a lot of films called Rats.
Rats.
Why am I googling this? It turns out if you Google rats, you're going to see lots of rats.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's odd.
Oh man, I know. No, I can't find the specific one, but
I'll find it.
Is like a purple one. Strangely enough, quite like Mallrats. There's no actual rats in Mallrats. It's like the front cover is just like a purple cover with loads of rats on it.
So I think we're pretty much at the end now. Paul suddenly returns and tries to save Ginny, but Jason incapacitates him. Just as Jason is about to kill Paul with a pickaxe, Ginny picks up a machete and slams it down into Jason's shoulder, seemingly killing him. Paul and Ginny return to the cabin and hear someone outside. Thinking that Jason has followed them, they open the door only to find Terry's dog Muffin. Just as they sigh in relief, a unmasked Jason bursts through the window from behind and grabs Ginny. She then awakens to being loaded into an ambulance and calls out for Paul, who is nowhere to be seen. Back in the shack, Pamela's head remains on the altar, but Jason is nowhere to be found.
Oh dear.
Yeah, what happened to Paul?
Paul went on and had his own franchise of films. Paul the 13th. No, that doesn't make sense. But yeah, I'll work on it. I'll try and think of...
But yeah, don't know where Jason is.
Then he's still there.
He's still there.
He's always watching us. Especially on Friday the 13th. He's always watching. Peeping through your curtains.
I think we've said this a few times. I know we did in the Halloween one, but I feel like Friday the 13th and Halloween have a bit of a rivalry because they're both really similar throughout, like franchise-wise. But the thing that kind of jumped out to me was Jason's face in this one. You see Jason's face when he comes through the window, and he looks an awful lot similar to the first Halloween where Laurie pulls Michael's mask off and you get to see his face. They is both fugly.
Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, you know. There's someone for everyone.
Mummy.
His mum thinks he's beautiful.
Alright, let's go ahead and rate this film. So, I'm going to rate this 1 to 10 burlap sacks. I really like this one. It's a solid 80s slasher that spawned a whole iconic franchise from it. Out of 12 movies, it's definitely one of my favourites. Probably my third favourite. I think the reason why I like it so much is because it wastes no time in getting to the point. You know, it's straight out the gate. You're in there with your first kill. I think, yeah, like I said earlier, you could potentially see this as a separate movie from the first. Its own recreation, because it's the same concept and story, but it's different enough to where it's almost a new film.
Yeah.
Like we discussed in our Scream episode, you think Friday the 13th and you think of Jason Voorhees, and this is his first official movie as the killer. So yeah, so for that I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10.
Ooh, 7.5. Interesting. Yeah, I initially went into this thinking it was going to be in 5 or 6 out of 10 territory for some reason. Just kind of maybe not been switched on to it when I watched it a couple of times before. Just wanted to race through it. I like the bar scene, setting up all the lore, all the history of Jason, building his character development. I like Ginny. I like Terry was she's a beautiful character I remember from my youth. And like we've still got Baghead Jason, which is weird. Looks really cool. It looks really good. The film is a good looking film. It looks like a proper film. Like if you compare it to say Jason Goes to Hell all those years later, this feels like a proper movie. But then again, it's like somebody said recently, I can't remember who it was. They were, these were being made by a big studio. They were just like embarrassed of it, but they were still making it. But they had to keep making them because they were making so much money. So like it's only when the popularity tailed off when they started being made by companies and with a sort of less big studio look to them. There's a fake out with a dog as well. I can't quite remember. I've made myself a note about that. There's like a fake out with a dog. Well, I think it's a dog. I think it's Jason. And you got the machete. You've got Jason's shrine. I'm giving it a 7 burlap sacks, Baghead Jasons out of 10, and I didn't think I was going to. It's the only thing I would have liked is I would have liked a Ginny Alice team up. That would have been cool.
Yeah.
I like all the characters. There's no like absolutely odious, horrible characters to dislike in the group. They were all pretty harmless. The guy dancing with the dog, and Steve in the wheelchair, and they're all good. They're all pretty cool characters. So yeah, 7, good solid 7.
Awesome.
For me.
Nice.
Well done, Steve Miner.
Awesome, dude. Right, let's head into our trivia section.
Trivia. Oh yeah.
Okay, so what have we got? In the scene where Jason crashes into the window and grabs Ginny, the actor Warrington Gillette was actually hurt. He tried to break into the window, only it didn't break, and he just banged his head really hard against the glass.
It's realistic.
Yeah.
You could have had like just a big banging, bouncing off the window, and then a squeak as his face goes down it. That would have been quite funny.
Yeah, should have kept it in. The first Jason scene in the movie is a shot of Jason's leg walking across the street towards Alice's house. This is the only time in the series Jason was played by a woman, Ellen Lutter, the film's costume designer. So there you go. Right. Female Jason.
Why not? Hey, it's 1980, whatever.
During the climactic fight between Jason and Ginny, Jason raises the mattock to block Ginny's machete swing. Amy Steele said that during the first take, the timing was wrong and she accidentally hit Steve Dash's finger, causing him to go to the emergency room. Steve Dash has photos of him being treated in the ER in full costume. Fake machete still stuck through his shoulder after his finger was stitched up. He returned to the set that night and insisted they complete the scene. She said they simply put a rubber cot on his finger and applied makeup to make it look dirty.
Isn't it funny you have to work so hard to make things look like bad?
Yeah.
That's one of the things about cheap horror, I guess, is that it can be really scary because when you put no money into it, it looks so grimy and dirty that it feels real, which makes it even scarier.
Yeah. During filming of the first take of her death scene, Adrienne King was injured when the prop ice pick failed to retract as it was pushed into her temple.
Bloody hell.
Ooh.
What is it with these films? How many times do we watch these films where you tell me that somebody's had like a really bad injury, like while we talk like The Exorcist, for example? Like, oh my word.
Oh, that could have been bad.
Yeah. I mean, these things happen, don't they, even now? Like the Alec Baldwin thing.
Yeah.
Brandon Lee. And, oh my word. Crazy.
Okay, last one. Throughout the final scene, the mummified head of Mrs. Voorhees is notably an actress wearing makeup rather than a fake head. The final shot is a close-up of the head, ending in a freeze frame before the credits roll. Originally, this shot ended with Mrs. Voorhees opening her eyes and smiling, but at the last minute, Steve Miner decided that this effect was hokey and cheapened the movie's impact. I agree with that.
Yeah. I think it's good to move on from.
Yeah.
Yeah. She was good, but.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
It would be insane.
It would have been too much.
Hockey mask.
Yeah. Cool. Well, that's all the trivia I've got. Cool. Let's jump into this week's game.
Play a game.
I know what that's from now. I finally rewatched after seeing it at the cinema. I finally rewatched Saw.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
what, the first
really
one?
Enjoyed it. Yeah, the first one. I hadn't seen any of them other than the Chris Rock one since that first one at the cinema all those years ago, like 20 odd years ago.
Wow, has it really been that long?
Yeah.
Jeez.
It's like early 2000s, and it was really interesting to revisit it, actually. But like, I hadn't even clocked that that's what the sound effect was from on all these games.
Yeah.
That's how long it's been.
I think that isn't that James Wan's first film.
Yeah, him and Lee Winnell. And we talked about when we did
Insidious.
Obviously, they kind of met at film school in Australia, and come up with this idea, and it's just went absolutely huge.
Yeah, we'll have to do that film soon. I panicked then when I did the intro to this game, because obviously I made this game for last week, so I've had this game set for like 2 weeks, so all of a sudden I was like, oh crap, I ain't made a game. But yeah, I've got one. a pre-made game. So this one is, what's that tagline? I'm going to name some taglines for horror sequels, and you got to tell me what movie it's from. The first one: after a decade of silence, the buzz is back.
The buzz is back. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2?
Yeah.
Woo.
Oh, I need my cheering. Where are they?
Yay. Is that from The Simpsons, the cheering, by the way, while we're breaking down all the content?
Yeah. I don't know. It just, the name of it is Children Yay.
Children Yay. Ah, yes, that famous Children Yay.
Children Yay. Next one, the body count continues.
The body count continues. It's not Predator 2. Body count makes it sound like it's got to be either Jason or Michael Myers, so I'm going with Jason.
Yeah, we'll give you a hint.
Is it the film we've just watched?
Yeah, it is.
Hey. It's going to go for 3.
Friday the 13th, part 2. Next one, more of the night he came home.
Oh, Halloween 2?
God, smashing them. You're going to get 6 out of 6?
No.
The man of your dreams is back.
Okay, so it's Friday. It's Nightmare on Elm Street, but maybe Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2.
Yeah.
I was so close to saying 4 for some reason. I don't know why. Self-sabotage.
You can't cheat death twice.
Oh, well, Final Destination 2.
Wow. Okay, last one.
Oh, no.
Someone has taken their love of sequels one step too far.
Someone's taken their love of sequels one step too... Is it Scream 2?
Wow, 6 out of 6.
Is that the first time I've ever done that?
I think it is.
It's because I had a week to prepare and really focus.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. That is the game. So we'll just wrap up by saying, well, the only thing I've got to wrap up on is the poll pick. So the poll pick is closed. It was for sci-fi movies. And in third place, I'm sorry to say, Matt, is Jason X. Second place was The Invisible Man from 2020. And first place, we will be reviewing next week, is Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
These people are costing me money. I'm going to have to buy this film. I've not seen it.
Oh, man. I think I've only actually seen this one once. Maybe twice? I don't know. It's been a long time, though.
A Killer Clowns from Outer Space Christmas tree decoration for some reason. I must have got it in like a loot crate or something. So, yeah, that's a strange one. I'm looking forward to it, actually.
Yeah.
It's just a shame that I can't see it anywhere, like to watch it for free. I don't think there's any way of watching it for free. Damn.
I haven't tried yet. Well, I have been wanting it on Blu-ray, so maybe I'll just buy it.
Yeah, I was looking for a cheap DVD copy of it, and the answer is there isn't.
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh. Cool. All right, unless there's anything you want to add.
No. Happy Friday the 13th. Belated Friday the 13th to everybody.
Yeah.
Don't forget to subscribe to All Things Horror. Go on Facebook. Say hi to Ben.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Tell him what films you like, what films you don't like. See if he agrees. Get into a fight about... No, don't do
that. Yeah, what films you want us to do.
Yeah.
Always open to opinions on what you want to hear.
Do it.
Awesome. All right.
Peace.
And that is that. And stop. If you've liked today's episode, be sure to go and like us on Facebook. That's where we announce our next episodes, as well as each month doing a themed poll pick where you get to choose what you want us to watch. We like to hear from you, so please feel free to leave us a comment or send us a message, or you can even email us at allthingshorror666@gmail.com. That's all for today. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next one.
We all go a little mad sometimes.